Yes, namaste and welcome everyone for today's webinar, Growing Up with the Gita and Unraveling the Upanishads with Dr. Kalika Uttakarji. We have people from around the world. If you haven't yet put in the chat where you are zooming in from, please do. Kaushikji from New Jersey, glad to have you on. Krishnaji from Karnataka, glad to have you on. I'm in North Hollywood, Los Angeles. Kalikaji, where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from Dallas, Texas.
Nice. We have a lot of energy in Texas, and we're going to be doing a lot. Madhaviji from Atlanta, Turlikaji from New Jersey. Yes, thank you for joining us. Anilji from California. Today, the day after International Women's Day, we're still celebrating. Aditji from Toronto. Dilipji from Maryland, a regular. Glad to have you on. I have that little poll up. Please let us know if you're a webinar regular, if you've taken courses before. Satishji from Raleigh, North Carolina. Glad to have you on. Keep it coming. Kingston, Ontario, Canada, represented by Somnath Ji. Yes. So let me give a quick introduction to our webinar today. And we know this from so many perspectives and so many angles. And having grown up here, we know teenagers often struggle with questions regarding their identity, self-worth, and their place in the world. It's not just teenagers, it's all of us. They're called to navigate complex relationships with family, friends, teachers, society, and often encounter conflicts and challenges in communication and understanding. They experience intense emotions, stress, and anxiety due to academic pressures, social dynamics, and personal challenges. We all do, but at different levels, right? And establishing a firm direction in life, identifying the right action, and having the strength to perform it is an achievement. And so Kalika ji has been teaching this Growing Up with the Gita course. She's been doing so much with HUA and also teaching several different courses on the Upanishads, right? Unraveling the Upanishads. She's taught Shad Darshana. Kalika ji is just an amazing person to have with us today. And just her brief background, she's got an MA and PhD degrees in philosophy from the University of Pune. She's done her master's in psychotherapy and counseling. She has over 25 years of experience in teaching philosophy, conducting life skills, corporate training, and workshops for yoga and mental health. As she said, she's in Dallas, works as a yoga and psychological counselor, motivational speaker. She motivates me, and runs a YouTube channel on parenting, relationships, and self-help. She's an amazing academic, intellectual, a beautiful person to have. HUA is proud to have her not just teaching these two courses, but also being a point person on our Bhagavad Gita Pariksha. We might get a chance to get into that. We'll have some student testimonials. With that brief introduction, let me give a shout out to Vaishali ji joining us a little bit late, but thank you for joining from Minnesota. And if you have any other friends, send them the link, have them join us. It is always a pleasure to have a nice crowd with us. We'll have questions and all of that. We have almost 75 people with us so far. So with that brief introduction, Kalikaji, can I hand it to you to get us started?
Sure. Yes. Namaste, everybody. And thank you so much, Ankurji, for that kind introduction. It's always pleasure to meet everybody in the webinar. So today we are going to introduce two important courses of HUA. The first course, as Ankurji said, is Growing Up with Gita. And another course is um, Introduction to Upanishads Part 2. So we are having the Part 1 continuously going on, and now from April we will be taking Part 2 also. So what I will do is briefly I will give some information about each of the course, and then probably we'll get into discussion, and I would like to answer few questions also. So I will begin with the first course, that is Introduction to Upanishads Part 2. So Upanishad is a word which is always very fascinating. And whenever I say that I am teaching Upanishad, or when I say I'm learning Upanishad, people have that expression "wow." So this "wow" goes back to thousands of years culture and civilization and the philosophical tradition that we all have, and everybody has a soft desire in mind that someday I will read Upanishads, someday I will understand what is there in Upanishads. So, in our courses of that is part one and part two, we are teaching 11 major Upanishads. So Isha, Kena, Katha, Prashna, Munda, Mandukya. This is the syllabus for the part 1. Aitareya, Taittiriya, Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka and Shvetashvetar Upanishad. These 5 Upanishads are discussed in part 2. Now the question is, why Upanishads? Because Upanishads are the foundation of the philosophical, what I would say is the structure of our society, of our culture, everything that has developed after the Ved, after Upanishads, is all impacted by the philosophical seeds that are sown in Upanishads. So, just for the new people who are here, I would like to say that Vedas originally are 4, and they are the ancient scriptures of Hinduism, of Sanatan Dharma. So, Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Sama Ved, and Atharva Ved are 4 major Vedas. Now, this Vedas can be divided into 4 parts, that is Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishad. So Upanishad is the later part of all the Vedas. So Upanishads are found in all Vedas. Some Upanishads are found in Rigved, some are found in Atharva Ved, Samaved, and Yajur Ved. So they are philosophical discussions found in different Vedas. Now Upanishad means sitting near to the teacher and learning Brahma Vidya or Moksha Vidya, learning about what is the ultimate reality. Who am I? Where from I come? And what is it that I need to achieve? And what is the right way to achieve? These are the questions which are handled in Upanishads. And beautiful stories and discussions between the old ancient rishis and their students. And they have discussions. Now, based on Upanishads, later on, Bhagavad Gita was written by Maharshi Vyas. That is the major part of Mahabharata. And then comes Brahma Sutra, and then the development of Shad Darshanas and the Smriti Granthas, and everything proceeds from there. So we are usually we know many things happening around us socially, culturally, but we often feel where from this philosophy originated. Who was the first person? I would say there was no single person, but it is from the Vedas, and Vedas are revelations of rishis. And how did they get themselves to that point where they were the knowledge revealed to them? So, what is upasana? What is sadhana? And can we also pursue the same path? These are certain questions which come in our mind. So, you can participate in part 1 and part 2. And if you haven't participated in part 1 course, you can always start with coming in, joining us in part 2, and then later on you can take part 1 also. So it is a plethora of 11 Upanishads, and which you can, any of them can be learned earlier, and any one of it can be learned later. So coming to the part 2 now, we are going to discuss Aitareya Upanishad. So Aitareya Upanishad basically comes up with a beautiful theory of creation with a very amazing story. It talks about bondage, it talks about Virata Purusha, it also talks about the theory of transmigration or theory of rebirth. Then we would be discussing Taittiriya Upanishad. Taittiriya Upanishad is known for 2 things majorly. First is the advice given to the graduating students. So, what all the students should do after they graduate from the Gurukul. And there is a very beautiful advice which depicts then cultural ethos, the cultural environment that was there, and that also shows what are the different goals of human life. So, it's a very beautiful advice. And more importantly, Taittiriya Upanishad also discusses the theory of Panchakosha. Who are we and how do we exist, and how many realms do we exist? What are the different stages of awareness that we all are experiencing? And therefore, they talk about Annamay Kosh, Pranamay Kosh, Manomay Kosh, Vijnanamay Kosh, and Anandamay Kosh. That's a very beautiful discussion about. This is also a very important theory of personality as it is reflected in Indian philosophy. And these days, there's a lot of work going on about Indian psychology also. So Taittiriya Upanishad has a very big contribution to that. So that is the discussion about Taittiriya Upanishad. Then comes Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is known for the dialogue between Maitreyi and Yajnavalkya. So Yajnavalkya was a rishi, and he decided that now he will leave all his householding responsibilities and duties because he is growing old, and now he would enter the fourth Purushartha, that is the sannyas ashram, or sorry, the vanaprastha ashram, and then sannyas ashram. So he has completed his brahmacharya ashram, grihastha ashram, and now he wants to renounce everything and go, but he is asking permission to his wife. He has two wives, Maitri and the other one. So Maitri is a very intelligent human being, and she asks him different questions, and basically they are philosophical questions. So that dialogue is very interesting. So we will go deeper into that. At the same time, coming to the later dialogue that is between Gargi and Yajnavalkya in the Janaka's court. Gargi is another intelligent woman that we come across in the Vedic literature, and she very intelligently asked Yajnavalkya very clear-cut questions. She's very um, fearless, and she's very confident. And that kind of dialogue is very interesting, and we all should at least go through the whole dialogue once in life. It is all about transformation of life. Upanishad is about transformation. It is a transformational journey. Now, somebody would say that Upanishads are only for the older ones and not for the younger ones. I would say no, that doesn't make sense, because if we know the map before we start the journey becomes more beautiful, articulated, and fulfilling. So, Upanishads, and for that matter, even Bhagavad Gita, is something which needs to be introduced to us at a very early age. And these dialogues and this knowledge needs to be with us throughout. So, coming then to Chandogya Upanishad, we come with across a dialogue between Shvetaketu, Uddalaka, Raikva, Satyakam Jabali. They are beautiful dialogues which are happening. And then last but not least is the Shveta Upanishad. Kim Karanam Brahma Kutasma Jata, where from I come, where do I go? What is the origin of this world? How is everything created? Such kind of questions are raised by group of rishis who come together, and the Upanishad begins with this dialogue. And then there are n number of answers to these questions. And while we see the answers, we travel from materialism to spiritualism to the knowledge of Brahman. So there are different philosophical insights that we come across, and there is a logical discussion about everything, very rigorous logical discussion. There is a Purva Paksha, there is an Uttar Paksha, and it is very beautifully explained. And Shveta Upanishad further goes on to explain the Yoga Shastra. So we see that Yoga Shastra was not just originated by Patanjali, but it has its roots back to Upanishads. Patanjali was the rishi who uh, formulated it, organized it, and in very brilliant way brought it ahead. But we can see the seeds of Yoga Shastra back in Upanishads, and Shveta Upanishad is one of it. So discussion of all this five Upanishads in part 2 will go on for 11 weeks. The classes will be interactive, discussion oriented, and I would like to share a few questions that we discuss usually. Okay, so I would have discussion about it now, but we will have it in the class. So that would be interesting to you. So, how to incorporate Upanishadic philosophy in daily life? How can I associate and disassociate with the world at the same time? How to link non attachment and detachment in my action? My desire to gain happiness and share happiness is something which I need to fulfill. How do I do that? Then, does Upanishadic philosophy make me lazy and run away from this world? Or is it something which helps to make me stronger? Can non attachment empower relationships, or will I become a dry person after I study Upanishads? So, all these questions are often there in our mind, and we will have a detailed discussion of these questions as we journey through the Upanishads. So, in brief, this is about Introduction to Upanishad Part 2. And now, coming to the second course. Acha, who can participate? Anybody and everybody is welcome to be part of Introduction to Part 2. And this will start in month of April, I think 19th of April, and it will go on for 11 weeks. So you can also complete your part 2 and then again come back to part 1. So throughout the year, we keep taking both these courses. And now coming to the next course that we have introduced, and this is Growing Up with Gita. Now, Growing Up with Gita is a course which is specifically tailored uh, for the teenagers and the youths. And youths, the age limit is endless. Anybody can participate who thinks that he or she is young. Okay, so body ages, but mind and intelligence need not age. So youth is constant. So anybody who wishes to join in. But the focus, of course, is also on the teenagers because this course is associated with another activity that HOA is doing, that is the Gita Pariksha. Now, what does this course basically focus on? Now, this focuses on the problems and life experiences of the young people. And what are those? First is new generation is a generation which is sandwiched between the new developments, contemporary lifestyle, the fast competition, and everything that we call as modern. At the same time, they are also exposed to the traditional values and ways of life. Now, does this have a philosophical foundation? Is a question to be asked by each one of us to ourselves. If we are living a life, do I know who I am? Leave aside philosophically, but at least culturally, where does today's youth identify himself or herself? Am I an Indian? Am I an Indian American? Am I an American? Am I an European? Where does my cultural identity belong? Is a very important question that every single youth on this world is asking today. Because this is a phase of transition. Too many things are happening around, and people sometimes wanted to identify with their ancestors. But for the past 50 years, if we see, this identification seems to be shaken. And to what should we really identify ourselves as tradition and culture, and what we should not, and what is it that we can create for the further generation is a very important question which needs to be discussed. And Growing Up with Gita is a course which enables a lot of discussion about the identity. Who am I? And with what should I identify myself? Am I a woman? Am I a man? Am I a young person? Am I an old person? Do I belong to a particular ethnicity and a country? Or is my identity beyond that? So, how to balance these different identities and the roles that we are playing? Now, there should be a difference between the role that we play and the identity that we have. Most of the time, we identify ourselves with the roles: role as a mother, role as a wife, role as a student, role as a teacher, and then we uh, tell about ourselves. I'm a teacher, I'm a professor, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer. These are our roles that we are playing. Then are we something beyond these roles? The young generation should know about this. And Gita is a friend, philosopher, and guide, a companion. If introduced to younger kids from the age of 13, 14, I would say even earlier than that, then they get answers to their questions and they learn a specific way of thinking. Philosophizing is very important. Living on the periphery has become a characteristic of being cool. Being cool is not living on the superficial level, on the periphery level, but being cool is having the courage to go deep, courage to dive into our emotionality, courage to dive into our philosophical concepts and try to understand what they are. So to build this courage in the youngsters, it is necessary, and Bhagavad Gita helps to in that direction. So the topics that we discuss in Growing Up with Gita are also very interesting. We try to show that how the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita can be implemented in our day-to-day life, in our day-to-day experience. Each of us, we experience life differently. For example, a family has 4 kids, and the perception of 4 kids about their parents is always different. There are few commonalities, but each child will see her or his mother differently, father differently, because the experiences that are experienced in a particular family are received in a different way. And why are they received in a different way? Because back of that, there is a perception, there is an understanding, there is a processing that is happening over the experience. And this processing, this understanding is influenced by the philosophy of life that one has. And each single living human being will have a philosophy of its own. That is nothing else but perception about ourselves, perception about the world, and perception about the relation between ourselves and the world. And Bhagavad Gita talks about this. And we thought that this is something which the youth must know about. Then comes what kind of choices do I make in my life? And what are right choices and what are not so right choices? Is there anything such as right and wrong? And then comes what are goals of my life? What is it that I need to achieve? Apparently, we toil so much, we work so much, and at the end of the day, when one hits 50, 55, 60, or I would say even 40, person is really baffled by the situation that why am I running so fast? What is it that I really want to achieve? Have I really invested my energy, time, and life in good things? And is there any possibility that I will achieve something in my further years which I haven't touched in my past years till now? So, what is the worth of my life? What is the purpose of my life? These are the questions which the youngsters need to be introduced to, exposed to. And a sharp mind and an intelligent mind, but a peaceful mind, a secure mind is an asset to the future. And that I feel is the need of the time, need of the society, that the whole of new generation needs to understand this philosophical process and should be able to relate with one's own life and problems to this philosophy. Now, Bhagavad Gita is an essence of Upanishads. Sarvopanishado gao dogdha gopalanandan. So Upanishads are like cows, and Sri Krishna is the milkman who has milked the milk and is giving it to Arjuna. So, in short, Bhagavad Gita is an essence of Upanishadic philosophy. At the same time, it is very well articulated. Each topic is discussed in length, and as you all know, that Bhagavad Gita is the roadmap to life, and the students need to be introduced to that. Youths need to be introduced. Now, what happens if I study Gita? The simple thing is, I learn to stay with myself. These days, we are missing out on this. We don't like our own company because we don't spend time with ourselves. We always spend time with others, not in person, nowadays on screen. So all of my attention is focused outside me, and I don't have time to focus inside me. And then I don't know how I exist in reality. So, this is a process where the experience of knowledge is not just outward, but it also needs to be balanced by having some focus inward. And this is what the students will take from this course. And they will be a balanced, they will know what a balanced personality is and what the is my real goal in life. So, that is the intention. At the same time, we are faced with different dilemmas in life. What should I do? Should I do this or should I not do? What is the tool? What is the parameter on which I will decide that I should choose this and not choose this? We should have some tool, and this is also something very important which comes from Bhagavad Gita. Based on what should I choose my action? When is a particular action moral and when it is not? Are we engaging just in the customary morality, or are we also discussing intrinsic morality? And if we are discussing intrinsic morality, what are the roots of this intrinsic morality? What is the purpose of this morality? Uh, these days, youth is very much engaged in two important activities. One is consuming lot of information and consuming huge amount of entertainment. So there is lot of consumption happening. And Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita say that we are what we consume physically, mentally, intellectually. It is all that we consume, we reflect. It is all that we consume, we analyze, and we build on that. Now, are we mere consumers? If not, are we creators? Then what are we creating? Or are we not just creators and consumers, but we are also experiencers? Who is it? Who is that? Who is experiencing everything? Who is seeing this everything? That also needs to be explored. And this is a step towards that journey. So these are two important courses that we are coming up this quarter. And I request you all to share this information with most of your friends and family. And if you have youngsters around you, please let them know that there is a course which will have discussion on these courses, these questions that we discussed so far, and that will surely benefit them. So this is about the two courses. I think we can open up for discussion.
Amazing, Kalikaji. Every time, even though it was just a summary and it was only half an hour, I think everyone appreciated it. And you created an experience, right? Well, just here on this webinar, it's amazing. And obviously, we can't get into all of that depth in a short time, but thank you for that framework. And you touched on this, but let's just hone in on this. So, what is the relevance of the Gita and the Upanishads in today's life?
I would say the relevance of Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita has been always there throughout thousands of years for the very simple reason it is a science which talks about us, about ourselves, about I. Who am I? And this is a perennial question that it will occur in our mind even 1,000 years later. And it also occurred 1,000 years earlier. So the fundamental question that we have in our mind needs to be answered. Then the next question is, what is the goal in my life? We need to have a goal. We need to have a purpose. It is not that the grass grows on the grassland, it dries and it withers away. Are we that insignificant? And if we are significant, is our significance relative to the society, family, people, friends, and all? Or we have this intrinsic insignificantness? That is the divinity that we have. Are we divine? Is a question. And these questions continue. Now, coming to the specific problems of this time, is we see that life is very fast. Life is moving towards individuality. Individualism is overrated, I feel. And there was a time when people were not aware about their individuality and people started talking about individuality. But now we have come a long way where we are only talking about individuality. So we need to develop relationships, build structures, build companies, organizations which talk about interdependence, which talk about being bold enough to be vulnerable in our close relationships. And when we learn this interdependence, there is another question. Are we learning about unity or are we learning about oneness? Unity is too many things coming together and having a contract that we all are together. And oneness is different. Oneness is intrinsically we all are one. Now, this oneness is fostered, which is the primary characteristic of our philosophy. If this oneness is brought forth, then lot many psychological issues will be resolved. Anxiety, loneliness, stress, depression, frustration. Why does this occur? Because we isolate ourselves. from the others, and then we land up into a burrow where I feel I'm alone, I'm lonely, I'm exploited, nobody cares for me, I don't have good relations, and I really don't know what I might to do and what is the purpose of my life. So over isolation, which is a result of overrated individualism, can be a problem which can be very relevantly tackled with the help of this. At the same time, when we isolate ourselves, another thing which comes up is exploitation. And that is something which we see throughout the social structure and the national, globally, exploitation is happening at its huge levels. It is happening. Why? Because I feel that I need something from the others. I need everything from the earth. I need everything from the atmosphere. I need everything from other people. I need other people to make me happy. So it is dragging, it is exploitation, and there is a bunch of restless souls moving around. So to just bring down this restlessness and bring ourselves to rest, to come in a place of security and strength, I think they are more relevant.
Yeah, definitely. We have a few questions in the Q&A box.
Yes.
I have a few more that I want to just get into. And you touched on this, right? We reflect what we consume, the information, the entertainment. So how does growing up with the Gita make a difference in our life comparing not being exposed to those thoughts and ideas?
Oh, this is such a beautiful question. What if I don't want to read philosophy? If I don't want to read Bhagavad Gita and Upanishad? Do you mean to say that life is not worthwhile? Can be a question asked by a teenager. Why do you insist that I should go and learn Bhagavad Gita? Because obviously, parents, when they know about this course, they will go and talk to their teenagers, and they will say, "Join this course." And the kid, "I'm happy. I don't need to do this. Why are you forcing me to do this?" A very good example of this is I am on a journey, but I don't know where I'm going. And I don't know when I will reach there. And what is it that I am going there for? These are the questions. And when we don't dig into philosophy, when we don't dig into um, Bhagavad Gita, we are on a journey, we are traveling, but we are aimless. We don't know what is happening. So, if the children are introduced to this and if they are growing up with Gita, they have a very strong recipe with them. They have a very strong map with them, and they know what they are doing and where they are going. That makes them more resilient, more strong, more happy. They learn to compete with themselves and not with others. Automatically, jealousy, hatred comes down. They are good friends. And one single individual who is stable, secure, happy is an asset to the society, because that person stops that dominoes effect of creating anxiety, anger, and hatred. At that point, everything stops and sharing of good things start. And that is why I feel growing up with Gita becomes more important. It creates wonderful individuals. Realization is a last step, no doubt, but the journey itself is very fulfilling, and it is empowering, transformational.
Yeah, I wish I grew up with the Gita, being here, and it took me so much longer to realize and get back on the dharmic path. And I have many friends who grew up here, Hindu friends who didn't and weren't exposed in that way, and they're much harder to get back on the path than when you start early, right? Growing up with the Gita
Of course.
sets you on that path. So that's great. If you haven't yet, please put in the chat where you're zooming in from. I'll give you a quick shout out. I have like 2 more questions. I had this poll going up. Let me just share the results. We had almost 90 people with us still. A lot of regulars. Thank you for being a regular attendee, and always glad to see new people joining us, and a lot of people enrolled in programs. And if you're considering a course, these courses are definitely important and amazing. And if you don't want to take a course, maybe we can convince you, but that's another part of our mission, right? Even if you're not taking a course at HUA, we have this platform and we're on this dharmic mission, and we need support in all sorts of different ways for our culture, civilization, right? Stewardship, and restoration of Sanatana Dharma, which we're in the middle of, right? This Hindu Renaissance is going, and we're a part of it, and we want you to be a part of it as well. So that transition to what is the significance of the Gita and Upanishads within Sanatana Dharma? And you kind of touched on it and each of them have a different role.
Yes, yes. Uh, Sanatan Dharma is a huge concept and it's a huge thing, and it has a variety of things in it. So it's like an ocean. Sanatan Dharma has many things. And now, what is the significance of Upanishad in Sanatan Dharma is that it is the foundational, fundamental structure of philosophy. So everything builds on philosophy. Everything has to build on philosophy. Without philosophy, even our life for that matter, if we meet somebody, somebody says that, see, there are two people. We'll take, for example, one person believes that this whole world is chaotic and everybody is selfish. So I need to navigate through this world, is one thought. Other person will say, this world is made of good people and everything is fantastic. I just have to look at good things and proceed. Then there is a third person who says that world is a combination of good and bad people together. So there are good things, there are bad things. So these are three different perspectives. That is the philosophy of that person. And from where does that perspective come is how that person understands oneself, how that person understands other people, and how has that person developed a relation between them. So all these things really matter. Similarly, in Sanatan Dharma, there is Dvaitavad, there is Vishishta Advaitavad, there is lot of ritualism, there are temples, there are gods and goddesses, deities, and every different, after every 10 kilometers, the expression of relationship, dharma would change. But it is all basically about dharma, that is duty. What is my duty? What is my nature? And this foundation becomes very strong if we learn Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and that really gives a firm footing to life. So I feel when we are working for Sanatan Dharma, the fundamental thing which needs to be done is the awareness about the philosophical foundation should be widespread. The youth should be introduced to the philosophical foundations of Sanatan Dharma, that is Bhagavad Gita and Upanishad, and then it is an individual choice that how they want to take ahead their religious pursuit and how they want to go ahead in their life. So this is very foundational.
Great, great. Yeah, the recording of this webinar, Prashantji, will be sent to everyone after this, and please do share it with your friends and family because it is critical and people are not aware of it necessarily. But you are now that you participated and you've been delegated to share with your friends and family. Jigneshji from New York, thank you for joining. Shantaji from Montreal, thank you for joining. If you haven't, I'll give you a shout out if you put in the chat where you are zooming in from. We have a few more questions from the audience. But let me end my questions with what possibilities does learning these itihasa, these texts, these scriptures at this level open up in modern life?
Uh, See, when we talk about possibilities, it is about empowering the new generation. When we introduce all these philosophical concepts to the new generation has a scientific mindset. It is they we study with a scientific methodology. We give lot of importance to logic. We give lot of importance to experimentation. And then when we look back to our religion, then the youths feel that there are certain things which do not give me logical answers. And then there is a trend that the new generation would say that I am an atheist. I don't want any religion. I just want to be good with people. Now that is fine if that is an intelligent decision, but it should be a known decision. Before I negate something, I need to have knowledge about it, information about it, and then it is a personal choice. And I feel that uh, here it becomes important that Sanatan Dharma, learning Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, they give us an option of understanding ourselves in a new way, understanding ourselves in a genuine way. And what would happen is this can have impact how the new generation will think about the education pattern, how the new generation will think about industry when they develop. how the new generation will think about the global policies when they come into politics. So an individual who has an understanding of Bhagavad Gita and Upanishad will implement it into different aspects of their life. So the possibility is of creating a wonderful society. Possibility is of creating secure and happy human beings. And I feel that a lot many changes that we aspire to do in our social structures can be impacted by this. And we say that everything is Brahman, and we all are Brahman, and we all are one. With this simple thought, see how many implications it will have in the way we connect with the world. And we are thinking that more and more energy we are consuming, we are using, we are developed. Is that so? Is a question. Is it just consuming more and more things and I am becoming powerful, I am becoming modern, I am sophisticated? Is a question. And if this knowledge is brought in, there will be a drift, a change in the way we think about the world, and probably the planet would last much longer.
Beautiful. So, Ramji from Brampton, glad that I remember Ramnaranji. We met in World Hindu Congress. Thank you for joining. Johnny from Maple Grove, Minnesota. Yes, yes. So, Kalikaji, just amazing. Appreciate it so much. Let me just drop in the chat. Here are the links to the courses and the dates and the times. So, the Upanishads course is going to be on Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's going to start April 19th. And the Growing Up with the Gita course is going to be on Saturdays at 11 a.m. starting April 20th. So the Introduction to Upanishads Part 2 does count as part of our certificate program in Hindu studies, but the Growing Up with the Gita course does not. So let me just launch a quick poll. Let us know if you're interested in these courses. Let me just make sure. There you go. Oh no, this is the wrong poll. All right, let me launch the poll shortly. And let's get into some questions and testimonials. I think we have some students. Maria, let me give you a chance to unmute. Jayanti Ji from Seattle, thank you for joining. Barul Ji from also Seattle, thank you for joining. You don't need to know Sanskritam, right? Somebody was asking you need to know Sanskritam for the Upanishads course?
No.
No.
It is a bonus if you know it, but if you don't know it, that shouldn't be a problem.
All right, Kaushik Ji, that is not an excuse not to take the course. So please do consider. And Esther G, let me have you unmute and share. Maybe you can ask your question. And then Maria, I'll have you permission to talk also, and you can give your testimonial next.
Namaste, Kalika ji.
Namaste, Saji.
Yeah, such a beautiful talk. I mean, of course, you cannot have covered everything in this, short video, but excellently laid out for people to, then make a decision. So, along with, you said one of the questions that man has been struggling with since the dawn of civilization is, where did I come from? Where am I going from here? What is my purpose here? So along with that, there's another question that really, really troubles people is, why do good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people?
Yes.
So my question is, do the Upanishads answer that question?
Yes, of course. This is a very important question which is answered in Bhagavad Gita and it is answered in Upanishads also. The philosophical foundation of Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita has three important theories. First theory is theory of Brahman, that the ultimate reality is Brahman. Then we come to the concept of Paramatma and Jivatma. And when we talk about Jivatma, we come to the theory of rebirth. Who takes birth again and again? Theory of transmigration. Because once I know who I am, then what is this life about? Who is coming to life? Who is dead? Somebody has to die, somebody has to take birth, but who is that? And therein comes the concept of Jivatma. And then this Jivatma is again connected with his or her actions. that is karma. So comes the theory of karma. So these three are interwoven. The concept of Brahman, the theory of transmigration or rebirth, and the theory of karma. Now the question that you raised is related to this theory of karma. So every action will have an effect. So if we all are, what is it that we do when we perform, when we act? It is an expression of energy. And energy is always there. So if we are creating a force of action, it will always have an effect. The theory of causation, cosmic level also there is theory of causation. On the philosophical level also they talk about causation. So everything in this world is governed by causation, cause and effect. So every action will have an effect. Now coming to the very common question is, why good things are not happening with good people, but why are they suffering? Now that is because we see life just from the uh, point of we take birth and point where we die. So we are thinking that life is like a segment between 2 points. But Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita have an understanding of life which is continuous. And so therefore they have a different understanding about death. They have a different understanding about birth. And there we come across this. And a very simple thought which comes is, whatever situations I come across in life may appear to be beyond my control. The question is it my own creation? I say that if something good happens to me, that is happening because I deserve it. But when something not so good happens, I say, why is this happening? I don't deserve this. And everybody says this. So from where is this generating? Then let us peep into our own minds, our own actions, and then consider life as an endless process. And then probably we come to certain answers that Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita is giving. So there's a lot of discussion about this.
Thank you so much, Kalikaji. You're actually now compelling me to join this course.
That's so nice.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is so so convincing and really well put together.
Welcome to the course then.
Thank you. You'll see me in the course.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yes, Esther G. Hema Ji from DC, originally from Pune. Great. Do we have any other students who want to give a testimonial? I know Kalika Ji invited folks. Maria, if you can unmute, you are welcome to share. If you have any other students who want to give a testimonial, raise your hand and I can give. Lynn, yes, Lynn and Maria. Okay, Maria, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Namaste. Thank you so much for the invitation. I would very, very highly recommend that you all consider taking this course. I have taken both Upanishad courses and the Shadarshanas from Dr. Kalika Ji, and I think you have gotten a taste during this webinar of Dr. Kalika Ji's ability to just really take these abstract, seemingly difficult concepts and really make them relatable with real life examples. She has a lot of enthusiasm and passion for the subject, as I'm sure you can tell, as well as knowledge. And this was the first time for me going through the Upanishads, and I feel like I have such a great introduction and foundation to them. Actually, Esther G, to your question, I believe I actually reached out to Dr. Kalika Ji when I was taking part, I forget which part now, and we absolutely discussed that question. And in terms of, you know, some of the Upanishads are quite long, like the Brihadaranyaka, and, you know, you kind of wonder, like, are we really going to be able to cover each of these in, you know, 2 classes for the longer ones, 1 class for the short ones? And Dr. Kalika Ji just does such a beautiful job of extracting those essential shloks, which provide the essence of the Upanishads. So I really got a lot out of it. And again, just very applicable, like, you know, the my final writing was just in being able to explain them really demonstrated my understanding, or again, how to apply those concepts to my life. So I definitely appreciated that applicability. It wasn't just some kind of, you know, intellectual academic exercise. So I really got a lot out of them, and I would absolutely encourage you all to consider attending. And thanks for the opportunity to give a little testimonial.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much. You have been amazing throughout the classes. And I really thank you for coming today for the webinar and sharing your experiences. You've been always amazing. Thank you so much.
Your excitement is contagious, Maria ji.
Absolutely. I feel it too.
Thank
Here,
you.
I just set up the poll. Please let us know if you're interested in the Introduction to Upanishads 2 course or the Growing Up with the Gita course. Yes, no, maybe. Just let us know. It helps us filter through and follow up correctly. Lynn, please share.
Dr. Kalika, I have a question. This is a question that I dwell with a lot, and perhaps you can respond. Thank you. When we regard karma, the jiva, and jiva moksha, then the condition of the jiva, the soul, the mentality and the emotional life of the person who is departing, end of life, last breath, and the person is departing. Then if that jiva, that person has suffered loss, suffered great loss, and so they're living in a grief, or maybe grief and resentment, or maybe grief and resentment and anger, then that is the condition that they in their last days before the end of their life here on earth. Then that is very interesting to me. You know, is it about good karma and bad karma? Is it about the condition of the jiva? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. So there is a concept in the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, which is sanskara, which is impression. So every time we are experiencing life, we are performing actions, there is an impression which is created on our chitta. Okay? Chitta is the deeper consciousness, but it is not the state of Brahman, but it is bhava, it is sanskar. There is an impression created. So we do not exist just on the physical level, that is body. We also exist on the prana level, that is energy. And of course, prana is deeper than energy. It has a much wider meaning. We can go in depth on it. Then is the concept of mana, that is mind, and then comes chitta. Okay, so this is a state. Even in Yoga Shastra, they talk about chitta vritti nirodha. So one has to come out of the oscillations that are happening at the level of chitta. So all our experiences that we take could be of happiness, could be of sorrow, could be of agony. They have impressions on this chitta. And when we leave the body and we move ahead, the Jivatma carries these impressions or sanskara. And based on that, what is all this sanskara and all that? It is force. It is a type of energy that we have created. And that attracts similar energy. And that is carry forwarded in the next life. So when we see that a particular child we see is always having a different personality, is more anxious or is more afraid of certain things, then people say that maybe earlier this Jivatma has experienced some trauma. So all this is carry forwarded, but nothing is constant. So these impressions are also not constant. And so there is a positivity in this philosophy which says how to remove the negative impressions, negative sanskaras, how to purify the soul, clarify it, bring lot of clarity into it, and how to bring in flow if it is stagnant. So when the chitta is overburdened with different impressions, it becomes stagnant, it becomes jada. So there is a necessity that a lot of negativity is removed, and that negativity is of ignorance, and therefore it can be removed by knowledge. So how to do this is all about the Yoga Shastra, as it comes from Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So removing this negativity, the flow is created. Energy becomes light, moving, flowing, and it is possible that it comes out of the trauma. So life is not considered to be one episode, but it is, as you very rightly said, it is a pause button. Death is a pause button. It is like refreshing your mobile, you know, and then newly it is again, it starts, it begins. So yes, if I am able to answer your question.
Great. We have maybe 10 more questions. Some other folks have raised their hands, so we'll try to go through this. Shashiji has got a couple questions. I'm going to allow them to unmute and get into it. But their first question was on how much of the course is Q&A, as the essence of Upanishads is that interactive dialogue. And then maybe you could go into just kind of the layout of the course, the pacing, the details in that way. And somebody's also asking, does the university provide the e-text for the Upanishads and what the readings are? And so we have a learning management system. You log in, and week by week, it'll all be accessible, whatever the assigned readings are, links, Google group chats, and recordings of previous courses. All of that is part of our learning management system, which you will have access to once you enroll. So Kalikaji, maybe just that general, what's a course like, the formatting, the pacing.
Yes. This course we are distributed for 11 weeks, and each Upanishad, now Aitareya Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka, total we have 5 Upanishads. Each Upanishad will be discussed for 2 weeks. So each course has 90 minutes, but very rarely we finish in 90 minutes. And there is so much of Q&A going on, question answers, and so much of engagement happening that it sometimes exceeds by another 30 minutes minimally. So then, similar 2 classes are conducted for each Upanishad. In the Upanishad, I come up with a PPT presentation and discussion both. And in the PPT presentation, I discuss selected verses from Upanishads, direct selected verses from Upanishads, its translation, and then its discussion. So you will have an opportunity to go through the originals, and then we will have a discussion. So this is the way it goes. Now, obviously, we cannot take the complete Upanishad, because one Upanishad they've started will go on for 2-3 months, even if we talk every day. Some Upanishads are that big, like Chandogya and Brihadaranyaka, they are huge. Whereas Ishavasya Upanishad and Mandukya Upanishad are smaller Upanishads. So that way it goes. But the attempt is to introduce you to the major philosophical concepts that are coming in the Upanishads, so that once you complete the course, you are aware about the main concepts and questions that are discussed in the Upanishads. So philosophically, you know what it is. And then with your further interest and you can dive deep into it. But philosophically, yes, you will be introduced to the major concepts.
Great. Shashiji, do you want to speak?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Namaste, Kalikaji. Nice to meet you.
Namaste, Shashiji.
So one question that I have is this. I'm a father of 3 teenagers myself. And to create an interest with modern discourse that they hear in schools and other venues is difficult because they're listening to other modes of communication, just in parenting, for example, at school board meetings and various places. So is there any way, is it even possible in the scope of this course to bring in modern discourses? Like I just posted this book called, Bad Therapy from Abigail Schreier's. Everybody should read it. Hear it. There's a podcast by Barry Weiss. It's great for parents interested in learning about modern youth problems. So an engagement with that type of a modern discourse with, Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, I think would probably create some synergy there, maybe, to answer some of these mental health issues that youngsters are facing.
Mhm.
And I would love to understand, or maybe have you comment on that.
Sure. That's a nice idea, Shashiji. And in fact, our course Growing Up with Gita is designed accordingly. So, what I do is, me also being a psychological counselor along with my philosophical background, I always try to bring in the application factor and discussion factor. So, we have psychological quizzes and tests that we give to the student, and they are made to identify their resilience score, their score to solve the problems, decision making, and there are different tests about how do I make my choices, and then there are quizzes who will gauge their emotional stability. So all these kinds of tests are given, and they get a score for themselves, and then at the same time they want to know how these problems can be solved. So my focus in taking Growing Up with Gita is not introducing the text to them, but it is about discussing their issues in the light of Bhagavad Gita. Because every time we are interested only if the discussion is about me. So in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yajnavalkya tells Maitreyi that Atma is important. To everybody, that me, aham, is important. So that aham, that me is important for every teenager also. And if my problems are not going to be discussed, if I'm not going to be heard, if they are not going to talk about my future, then I'm not interested. It's a very simple thought, not only with teenagers, but with all of us. So this philosophy stands the test of thousands of years is only because it is talking about us. And if this is the focus, kids come up with lot of questions, is my experience, and we have lot of dialogue. And yes, the concept of bringing in the modern discourses is also very interesting, and we try to bring in, and you can send some suggestions also. We will try to incorporate some of the modern discourses if you are suggesting. Then yes, of course, that is how we move ahead, because otherwise the students won't go and sit in the temple or the church or anywhere else. They don't want to, because that is not related to them. Something is happening and they are zoned out. That shouldn't happen. Every moment in my life is precious, and I need to utilize it for my growth and my happiness. And if that is not happening, then it's like wasting time. And they should be aware that I am here because this is about me, and I have to take something from here. So that is the focus of the course.
Great. Thank you, Shashiji. I know you made a couple comments and you wrote a few things out in the chat. Was that good, Shashiji? I thought that was good. I don't know if you have any other follow-up on that. And maybe we can have some of your kids participate.
Well, I'm eternally trying to create that interest inherently and not force it on them. And like, for example, if you go to a Catholic school and they talk about Catholicism on a regular basis, my daughter doesn't go attend it because she's not really interested. But I don't know if she's, capable enough yet to be confidently speak about the epistemology of our knowledge systems, for example, and how we think about this or that. And that conversation is not able to happen because nobody knows. So the people that are taking these courses generally are people like us interested, but the scaling it to the general discourse can only happen if you bring in the general discourse that is currently happening into this conversation.
Yes. In fact, Shashiji, our course Growing Up with Gita is also for the younger group. We also have a session for middle schoolers. Now they are 8 years and above. So 8 to 15 is their age group. And that is the most interesting group to talk with. And they have so many beautiful questions, and they are so energetic, and it's like a sponge. So in one of my classes, I asked, why have you, I ask everybody, why have you joined this course? So this child told me that I didn't want to join. My parents have forced me, and therefore I'm here. And continuously for 15-20 minutes, the child was not ready to look into the camera. He was in the mute mode. And then after 15-20 minutes, it was the same child who was asking questions continuously. So when the child understands that this is about me, this is about my questions, and then it's like puzzle solving for them, and then they come into it. So I would say that anything that we take for to in front of the kids, it has to have that element of curiosity, element of playfulness, and element of happiness which is generated out of it. Only then they understand the validity of it. If it is dry, boring, scholastical, and just scholarly discussion happening, then it is not for them. They say that we don't want this, we are clever enough and we can do many things, we don't need your words. But if it is their problems, then I feel that I'm also a mother of two kids, and I've been with kids for a long time. Since I was in college, I've been into workshops and talking to kids and doing things with them back in India, in Pune, Bangalore, and then when I moved to US, I've been taking my courses, in-person courses also. So I feel that kids are very sharp, they are intelligent, and they have questions. They don't like to be preached, but they like to ask questions, challenge you, and see how much you know. And then if they feel you are valid, then they are with us.
One last comment, if you don't mind, is that Saturday at 11 o'clock, kids are usually weekends waking up late, and the first thing they want to do is, just hang out and do something and not have that intensity to learn something so philosophical. So have you guys had good success with kids attending at this time, or are there any better times to do this course?
Last time we had a good experience, but if you have some suggestions, then probably you can share your suggestions in the chat box. We will surely think about it.
Yeah. Thank you, Shashi ji. Very good points. And to what this is also, we're trying to elevate the significance and the understanding of the Bhagavad Gita. So there's many things, not just courses at the graduate level, not just courses for kids, but we also have this Bhagavad Gita Pariksha. It's a competition, youth focused, and it was beautiful. We had our first one in November in North Carolina at the Hindu Society of North Carolina. And kind of the idea, the spelling bee. We as Indians are doing so well in that, but it's, spelling. There's no depth to it. I mean, there's depth, there's levels to it. It's impressive still. But we are aiming to have regional competitions for the Bhagavad Gita Pariksha, where Kalika ji is curated and we're working on a multiple choice exam with short answers and having a prize pool, having a local mandir or a temple or a Hindu society or a Samaj host it, and then bring kids in and make it fun and exciting and competitive. And these kids, the young kids who just participating and sharing, it was beautiful. And I hope we can do more of that in this next year across the country, aiming for like a national competition, bringing people together in 2025. So if you are interested in something like that, this parallels with the Growing Up with the Gita course. And Amishi Gupta, I just want to mention her specifically. She took the course. She's, I think, 7th grader. She took the exam, and then she got her own study group together, her friends, and started having conversations. And then she organized her own Bhagavad Gita Pariksha for K through 8. And she helped design the test, came up with questions. Kalika ji, again, is very interactive. We legitimately use your feedback. We do engage. So if you have suggestions, feedback, this is what we're doing, and we want you to participate, and we are willing to meet you 3/4 of the way. Like we're here to do that work, to make it easier for us to share our knowledge and wisdom and our heritage, especially to young people. And I have that really deep mission because I grew up here without it, and I have 2 younger brothers who are not on this path, and I have those conversations still. And I just hope we can share that with you, with your families, with your children, with the next generation. And we're doing different initiatives to make that happen. And Kalika ji is just an amazing representative and figure that's leading the way with, as you saw today, her energy and knowledge, and just everything about her makes her very well suited for this initiative and being a part of this. All right, Hari Iyerji, yes, you are unmuted. Go ahead, Hariji. Maybe he's away for a second. Krishna ji, I see you have quite a few questions. Let me unmute you. I know you've been engaging with us by email. So when you are ready, and Kalika ji, we're kind of nearing the end of the webinar. We have, Hemaji, you can sign up. When will we be offering these courses, right? So we're on a quarter system. We're going to be offering new, the same courses, maybe iterations of the courses every quarter. The Growing Up with the Gita course, I think we're going to do a summer intensive that's a little bit shorter so that it actually fits in the schedule for students. So again, us being flexible and variable, not just rigid in what we're doing. So before going to fall, yes, the time commitment, a lot of that is up to you and the student, right? The course itself, as Kalikaji said, is about 90 minutes, usually a little bit longer. And then the reading, the offline, the amount of energy, and go ahead, Kalikaji, yeah.
For the Growing Up with Gita, the course doesn't exceed 90 minutes. We see to it that it finishes in time, and out of that, it's hardly 45 to 50 minutes that I talk, and rest of the time kids talk. So it is more of discussion. So they don't get stressed with the time thing, and then we try to finish it in time because students are busier than us and they have so many assignments and things to do. So we don't take up on their time. So that is something which also helps with them. Yes.
Krishnaji, do you want to unmute? Anybody else? I have another hand up. Is still Hariji? Krishnaji, Hariji, either of you? All right. Anybody else? Age limit? No age limit. Jayanti ji. We're actually and Mohanji was talking about it. Maybe we could have some of and we're also gonna have local courses that parallel. So Kalika ji is gonna. No, Hariji, we can't hear you. Maybe you gotta unmute or audio connect or something else. But we're gonna have local courses with local teachers at the mandir, at the temple society, whatever it is, digging deep into the 25 shlokas that Kalika ji is not focusing on, but actually articulated, using to connect and educate and inform the kids. The local course is going to be focused on in-person chanting, learning the verses in detail. So we have Amit Kulkarni in North Carolina who's taking that lead. I think Mohanji and the Ganesh Temple in New York City is going to be doing that as well. And if you want a local, if you can get maybe 10, 15 kids and a teacher who's can work with Kalika ji, we want this to be in person, right? That energy, we can get that energy on Zoom a little bit, but that in-person engagement, we want to do that, and we're looking for that. So Venkaji, I just put my email and phone number in there. You can give me a call. We can follow up. Recordings will be available for the courses as well. We do hope to have live interactions, synchronous learning, not asynchronous learning. Shailaji, you are very welcome. Thank you for being on with us. Homework assignments, what are the homework assignments like for the Growing Up with the Gita course? Homework assignments or offline work with the Growing Up with the Gita course?
Most of the time, they are quizzes that they need to solve during the course classes. Not much of homework is given to them, but just at the end of the course, we want them to give either a video representation or an written essay that they have to write. So it is their choice, and yeah, that's it. So the main focus is on their participation, and of course, they will get a certificate from HUA that they have completed this course, which of course they can utilize in their school things.
Great. Yeah, Deepaji, so as mentioned, Kalikaji is teaching many courses at HUA and kind of in a cyclical fashion. I think, Kalikaji, you're not even taking any quarters off. We'll let you know if Kalikaji is taking quarters off, but at least one course she's offering a different one, building on that. So
We do have a course of Shad Darshan. These are different schools of Indian philosophy, Hindu philosophy. So we are also, that is Sankhya, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa and Uttar Mimamsa. And we also talk about Jainism and Buddhism. So 9 schools of Indian philosophy are taught. So that is also an interesting course somebody is willing to, but that would come after the second part of Upanishad.
Great. So Kalpana ji, you can unmute and ask your question. And I think Raj, you are next. There's still some people who have the ability to unmute but have not.
Namaskar, I am Kalpana Natarajan from Wales in UK.
Namaste.
Namaskar, Dr. Kalika Uttarkar. I understand that's a Maharashtrian surname. And
Yes.
I'm from Mumbai and we speak more Marathi and I'm more Marathi than Tambram.
That's
Namaskar to Ankur Patel. I just wanted to tell you that I'm so interested in your classes, but I'm a poor pensioner in UK, and I understand that you all are giving some concessions to people in India. So I was wondering why I'm not included in that, you know. Another thing is I've got friends who are interested. I was wondering how I tell them to hear your lectures. I don't know. And I am also learning Bhagavad Gita from Gita Parivar, if you have heard. And I want to, if I don't know how you'll do it, but if you look at that template of promoting their classes, I think your database will grow very largely. You know, they teach Bhagavad Gita in 13 languages, and I prefer the time of 8:30 in Wales in UK, and somebody from India, their time is 2 o'clock, and it is convenient, and they teach us, you know. And if you want to have a look, I think it'll help you all a lot, you know. And I'm not good at exams at this age of mine, but I want to know more. So I want you to think about the thing I've said, and बरं होईल जर विचार केलं तर.
sure.
माझ्यासारखे खूप जॉईन करतील.
Sure. Kalpana ji, thanks for your inputs. We'll surely look into that. And just a thought came to my mind. If you're in UK and if you have friends there, probably if they are interested in our course on Gita or Upanishads or Shad Darshan, and if you have at least 10 to 15 people, then probably we could start a course at your timings, and we can take a quarter in that. So I think in detail things can be discussed with Ankurji and the whole of.
All right. I don't know if you have my email. I have been listening to you all quite often. But if you send me your details, then I can send it to all my WhatsApp group. And I'm quite active with the third sector, we call it here. And we'll see how we go from there.
Sure.
In the meantime, I don't know, when you're in that journey of your life, I have kept it so far, so I don't know if I want to keep it further, you know. I would like to know more so that I pass it on to my grandchildren.
Sure.
Who are in US, and you know, I want them to know more about Hinduism than it. Of course they are, since we are Tambram, my daughter, and they tell them, but you know, we are teaching them Tamil, but they understand it and they answer us back in English. So I want to break that, you know.
Yeah.
So this recording usually comes on YouTube, isn't it, Ankurji?
Yeah, so everyone who registered, even if you did not attend, but definitely the people who attended, you'll get a recording of this webinar. We prefer it if you register, you know, put your email in and then take the recording. But if you have friends and family you really think would enjoy this, you could share it, but just don't post it online in social media. Just send it directly to folks.
YouTube link. Yeah,
you'll get that in the email.
Digital knowledge is not 100%, so if you send me the link, it'll help me.
Yeah. Kalpana ji, we'll follow up with you specifically.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And as Kalika ji said, we're trying to get connected to England and UK and the Europe, but we haven't been able to because of time zone issues, density, all those other issues. Maybe you can be a part of that. I have, thank you, Kalpana ji, for joining.
By passing one thing, I would like to tell you that if you want to promote seva, you know, if like something giving back to the classes, you could get many volunteers, and you don't know how you can grow, you know, like these things really help. Thank you.
So again, we introduced Esther Dhanrajji, Srimati Esther Dhanrajji. She's going to be our Director of Community Outreach and she's going to be taking point on that kind of stuff. We have the Friends of HUA. You may have heard about that, local chapters that are taking initiatives, doing things, and this Bhagavad Gita Pariksha came out of that local chapter in North Carolina, trying to come up with a way to engage the community, to outreach, to bring more people in. And so if you'd like to participate in that, please also let me know, and I
Yeah,
will
please
connect
send me
you.
the details. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do my
Kalpana ji.
best.
Namaste Kalpana ji, Esther here. Yeah, I was about to
Namaste.
answer that. So if you can drop your email ID in the chat, please. I will reach out to you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Great. Hariji, you put in the chat. Do you want to unmute? You are unmuted. Do you want to say what you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Very good. Thank you so much for taking my call, Dr. Uttarkar. And of course, thank you, Ankur Patel, for putting up these shows. I just wanted to give you a feedback of the 15 plus years we have been teaching Bal Vihar and the Bhagavad Gita in the local area in the central coast of California around Santa Maria. We have taught almost probably 200 kids in those 15 years. And I have been teaching the class between the age of 14 and 18 before they go to high school. We covered only the basic 6 chapters, starting with chapter 1 and going through the different chapters. And that has given the kids a basic foundation. I personally think that people who want to go to your course should at least have a basic idea that will help them understand you better. And for that, I think we need to create a class for seniors in school, which is just the basics, the first 6 or 8 chapters, the Jnana Yoga, the Karma Yoga, and the Sankhya Yoga. So, like I said, we have been doing it for 15 years. I've taught my children. My daughter is 45, my son is 50, and now I have got 4 grandchildren. I'm 81, and my eldest granddaughter is 14 years old. So, this morning I talked to them both about the Bhagavad Gita and Shivratri, which was yesterday. Just wanted to give you a feedback. If I can be of any assistance, please let me know.
Thank you, Hariji. It's amazing work that you have been doing for years together. It's very highly commendable. And if you have that reach in your area, and if that connection is there, probably HUA can connect with you. And if you think about the Gita Pariksha thing, and if we can get more and more students for our Gita, growing up with Gita course, that can be an extension of what has been happening there with your initiative. So I think if you connect with Ankurji, and he will surely take it ahead. He's amazing. He's with so much of energy and passion. He is doing great things. So I think you can connect with him.
Yes, you are very right. Ankur is such a great inspirational person for our younger generation. The younger generation seems to have lost touch. My son and daughter are not involved in it anymore. They're busy with their lives, with children. But notwithstanding that, we owe it to our grandchildren to make sure that they understand at least the basics of our Sanatana Dharma.
Sure.
Well,
Yes.
thank you so much, and namaskar.
Thank you, Hariji. I will be in touch. We will follow up. That's great. Glad to hear all of that. Course fees. The Growing Up with the Gita course is $200, and the Upanishads course is $300. We're looking for, if you want to give partial scholarships, we can subsidize. And in some areas, that's kind of what's going on, where we have benefactors who are putting up, say, $1,000 for 10 kids, so that the cost of the Growing Up with the Gita course comes down to $100 per student. So in your local area, that could be an opportunity to help with the course fees. But TG. Yeah, so those are the course fees, but we do not do self-paced. These are quarter classes. You can miss a course and then get the recording and then catch up, but it is not a self-paced program that we are going with here at Hindu University. Thank you for that. Rajji, please.
Just wanted to add. I just
want
to add one particular sentence. We discussed this plan of sponsoring kids from our area. And for your information, Dr. Jasu Patel is from our area and a very good friend of mine.
Great to know. Dr. Jasu Patel is now the chairman of the board of HUA.
Yeah, we know that. I congratulated him when I got the email from you people. But a very, very good human being, follower of the Dharma, and of course, all best wishes to you and him too.
Hariji, did you say 81 or 18? Did I hear you right?
Yes, I'm 81. In fact, I spent my 80th at Kashi on my birthday this time. and I did a very famous Ganga Arpana of putting my January after 73 years of doing Sandhya Vandanam twice a day. I offered it to the Ganga and Shiva and came back to the US.
So that is the reason for your sounding so young. Okay, I get it. Yeah.
All
Thank you.
right.
Thank you for your seva.
Thank you. Beautiful. All right. Last comment from the audience is going to go to Rajji, and then we're going to go to closing thoughts.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for doing this, Kalikaji and Ankur. So the first question is, it's okay to send this recording of this particular session for somebody, right? And they don't need an account to view it. True or false?
Yeah, you don't need an account. You just,
Okay.
for the webinar, yeah, no.
Okay. The next one was the timing for the Gita is a little bit off. So is it okay to listen to the recording?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So
It's okay. It's acceptable. It's not recommended.
Yeah, but the timing doesn't work. Anyway, so that
Yeah.
recording is okay. And the third and final question for Kalikaji is, we talk about this, the basic question I have is, why are we here? The why, W-H-Y, in all uppercase. The stress is on the why. I have never found an answer to that question. What do we do after we are here is all answered very nicely. All our scriptures answer how to live a life, why, but why certain things happen. I mean, somebody else asked this question: why only bad things happen? Why, what bad things happen to good people? All that is fine. But my basic question is, why are we here? Can any of our scriptures answer that deep question? So I'm not asking for it's not a philosophical question. And I don't think there's a clear answer to the why.
So this is a perennial question. Why
Yes.
I'm here? And another question which follows is every time, why me? Why me?
No, let's not go there. Let's not go to why me.
Okay.
Why? And
Then-
why are we?
Mhm.
So, it's a very,
So when we go to
Yeah.
that question, why I'm here,
right.
the question that is presupposed behind this is, who am I? If I know who I am, then I should know why I am here. Because if I don't know who I am, then this question is always unanswered. If I know who I am, then automatically I know why I am here. So this kind of discussion is immense in Upanishads, and there are so many dialogues and stories going around this question. So if you see the beginning of Shvetashvatar Upanishad also, they are asking similar questions. And then to get the answer, they are saying te dhyana yoga anugata. Then to get the real answers, they went into meditation. So this is a very important point I would like to make. Upanishad is not an armchair thinking. It is not to be discussed just in the department of philosophy across the globe. This is an experiential science. They are saying that unless and until we experience what we are learning, then it doesn't make sense. One of the Upanishads says, Nayam Atma pravachanena labhya, na medhaya na bahuna shruten. So, Atma cannot be realized by going to discourses, pravachana, not by intelligence, not by reading. Though that is a beginning, there is much more to that. And that is something which makes Upanishads powerful, is they talk about experience. So once the path of upasana, sadhana, tapascharya, tapa, dhyana, all these come into the practice, then what the scriptures are talking about starts making sense. Otherwise, we are lost in the jungle and the forest of logic and doubts and arguments. So beyond that, it is also the experiential journey that Upanishads are talking about. And I feel for the modern person, we can explain it in this way. If we are talking about scientific methodology, ultimately we come to a strong hypothesis. And once we reach a strong hypothesis, what is it that next we have to do? We have to start seeing whether it is valid, start proving it, And if it is proven, we accept it as a belief of knowledge, as a part of knowledge. But if it is not proven, it still remains as an hypothesis. So any knowledge about reality, about our own existence, can be understood at the level of hypothesis when it is an intellectual path. So Upanishads transcend this path, and they also talk about experience, and where the Yoga Shastra comes in, the meditation part comes in. So with that, it becomes a complete path of reaching realization, understanding our own self. So once we understand who I am, then this question probably can be answered better.
Yeah, that's a great one. I mean, that's a different angle, but I see what you're saying, that the fundamental question is more of who am I? And that is answered in or discussed in several Upanishads.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that, Rajji. And with that, let me hand it to Kalika ji for some closing thoughts. If you want to do a shloka at the end, however you want to end it. It is always my pleasure. And this one in particular, it was so good to have you on and share with so many people about what you're working on, the energy, all the little reaction emojis with the hearts. I love it. Thank you so much, everyone. Namaste, dhanyavad. Now to Kalika ji for some closing thoughts.
First and foremost, thank you, Ankurji. It's always your energy and passion that is transmitted, and it helps me to conduct webinars. And thank you so much for all your energy and positivity, and conducting it with so much of energy and inspiration. And then my second thanks goes to all the participants for staying along with us for so much of time and giving your ear to our thoughts. And I want to welcome you all to HUA and join our courses and take this journey ahead and pass it on to more and more people, because that is something which we can do for ourselves and our country and to this philosophical progress. And thirdly, I would say that I wish you all the best in your spiritual and philosophical endeavor. And if I can be of any value addition in that journey, then I invite you to the course of Growing Up with Gita and to the Introduction to Upanishads Part 2. And this is a co-journey, and we all are sailing, and we all are learning from each other. And I feel that this learning is very humbling. At the same time, it is also transformative and reminding us of our divinity also. And I feel that is a wonderful experience that Upanishads give us. So thank you, everybody, and see you soon in the class.
Namaste, dhanyavad. Thank you so
Namaste.
much.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kalika ji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ankurji.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Namaste.